All right. So I know you guys are asking, why am I doing this? What does this have to do with observations? What does this have to do with science class? So before we get into all of that, I am going to ask you to do one thing. If you have a cell phone on you or something with a camera that you can record yourself with, I'm going to ask you to please open up your camera here, and you're going to be taking a video of yourself. You can put it right in front of you, kind of like this, so that you can see it. But basically, I'm going to ask you to please record your reaction to this activity. And then if you do feel comfortable, I would like you to post it, and there's a place to post it below this video for the Google form. It's not going to be shared with anyone. It's just for my own use. I want to see your reaction to this. It gives me a little bit of interaction with you guys. So take a second, if you haven't already, please set up your phone or camera, something where you can record your reaction to this activity. I think you will enjoy it. It is like a one and done thing. So if you move forward without recording it and then you're like, oh, I want to record myself and look back on it, it's not going to work. So once again, one more second. This is your chance. Set up your camera. You will want to look back on this probably in about 5 minutes and laugh at yourself. Hopefully you share it with me too, because I'd love to see your reaction to this. But yeah, so cameras on to record yourself and yourself only and your reaction in 3, 2, 1. All right, so the entire point of this activity was for us to get into that mindset of acting like scientists. And like I said, scientists perform experiments to gather information. One of the ways that we gather information is through observation. And so I asked you, what is an observation? Now, we were looking at objects and you were telling me what you noticed about different objects. So for example, object number 4 here, a lot of you probably said it's a candle. Yep, that was the reaction I wanted you to film right there. So, object number 4, like I said, you probably said it was a candle. Hopefully you said it was made out of wax. Maybe it had a wick that was made out of string. You saw me light the thing on fire. I lit the wick on fire. And now object 4 is no more. So tell me, is calling object 4 a candle, is saying that it's made out of wax? Are those observations? No, those probably aren't observations. That's probably what we call an assumption. So if we go back to object number 1, hopefully you wrote down some things such as it's black, it's silver, or it's gray. It looks like Black Panther. This is Black Panther, right? Yeah. It looks like Black Panther. Maybe you even thought it was a chew toy for a puppy, which it is. Hopefully you wrote down that it squeaks. Make some squeaking sounds. Maybe you wrote down that this top part here is plushy and soft, and this part here is hard. It has some texture to it, some spikes going around it. There's a circle in here that you can see. There's 2 arms right here. You can see a little face on this guy. So there's a lot of things that you could write down about this that were an observation, okay? So let's review object number 2. A lot of you probably wrote down it's a mug. And guess what? You're right in this case. It is a mug. Do you know if it's microwavable? No, you do not. Is a dishwasher safe? No, you don't know that either. Those are assumptions. So this would be object number 2. I did read the words that are on the mug. So if you wrote down those words, like object number 2 says, I can't even get it on the screen. Object number 2 says that cats know how we feel. They don't care, but they know. That definitely is an observation. You might have written down that it's a light blue color. There's some different cats all over the mug. It has a handle on it. there's an inside to it, and that inside has a little kitty cat on the insides for you to look at while you drink. Maybe you saw some of the bottom writing on here that you wrote down. Maybe you said it was cylindrical, which is a great word to use. It's a circle that we see right here. But again, plenty of things to notice about object number 2. For object number 3, just as a review, so I have a little Iron Man toy from my stepson, and he bends a little bit, so maybe you wrote down that it's movable. Maybe you wrote down that it was red and gold. You might have written down that it was Iron Man. Little action figure going on here. But those are all different observations. The thing that I'm trying to show you right here is that there is a difference between an observation and an assumption. So if we move into object number 4, I don't have it anymore because I ate it. Hopefully you wrote down as observations that it was a white color. Maybe you wrote down that it had something poking out of the top, the little wick. Maybe you wrote down it was cylindrical. Those are all great observations. Writing down that it's made out of wax, it's a candle, those are observations. If you wrote down that it's flammable or you can light it on fire, that's a great observation as well. So this activity was meant to show you the distinction between an observation and an assumption. So in science, as scientists for experiments, we can only write down our observations because those are the only things that we know 100% to be true. If you wrote down it was a candle, that, like I said, was an assumption. We didn't 100% know that to be true. If you said it was made out of wax, that again was not true, so you can't write it down as an observation. So for observations, you definitely want to make sure that what you're writing down is truth no matter what. So usually with observations, the way that we make observations are to use our 5 senses. So that's our eyes, sight. Maybe we want to smell something, we can waft it, and that would be smell. Usually in science, we don't taste things, but you can taste, so that's one of your 5 senses. You might use your ears to hear something, so that would be sound as one sense, and then definitely touching things. So that would be your 5th sense right there. So for observations, you're using your 5 senses to write down things that you notice about whatever it is you're observing. Assumptions, you pretend like you know, but you don't actually know. So what I'm going to ask you to do below this video is to rewrite your definition of what an observation is, again, in your own words, 10 words or less. Please do not go Google this. I'm looking for your words, your definition, your description. I don't care about the internet's description. I want to hear your thoughts. Please write down what an observation is. Please write down how to make an observation. I'm not going to ask you to observe Isabel again. But those are the 2 things I'm asking you to do right now after you watch this video.